Let's cover some of the common duties of yield operations teams. Let's begin with header bidding optimizations. A yield ops team will be responsible for managing the extensive amount of settings that exist on each header bidding partner integrated into your header bidding auction. Each individual supply-side platform, or SSP, has tons of different settings that allow you to control the demand that comes from that source into your auctions. Yield's primary function is to manage the settings across all of the demand sources that are participating in the header bidding auction to ultimately drive the most revenue. If you are a large enough publisher, it also falls to this team to manage relationships directly with SSPs, should you have them. Most standalone publishers will simply not have the size and scale for this level of attention from SSPs. So, if you are a small to medium-sized publisher, this will likely not be a large part of your yield team's activities. If you work with a header bidding wrapper or ad management partner, they should have a yield ops team that manages relationships with SSPs on your behalf and fights for your best interests as the publisher. Next, let's cover price flooring. One of the most common settings yield ops teams will change or manage are individual price floors, or custom price floor rules on the header bidding auction. The goal of this practice is to manage supply and demand to maximize top-line revenue. Essentially, yield ops professionals seek to find the right balance of fill rate and RPMs to drive the highest total ad revenue. Metering access to your inventory by setting a price floor drives up its value and ultimately increases RPMs. However, reducing the available supply too much will limit the volume of ads you serve, thus requiring that you don't increase your price floors too far. The yield team's job is to experiment with these settings to find the perfect balance that maximizes top-line revenue. Up next, let's talk about ad unit placements and settings. This duty is kind of a fuzzy one. Does it sit squarely in ad ops, or does it sit with yield management teams? Unfortunately, the answer is a little bit of both. How your ads are placed, the number of units on page, how visible they are, and how frequently they refresh all have a huge impact on your ad revenue. While ad unit strategy traditionally sits in the ownership of ad operations, the yield team will need to be a part of setting the strategy, and they'll want to frequently run tests to see what ad unit settings or placements drive the highest RPMs. In addition, your ad unit placements also impact things that happen further up the ad tech pipes. SSPs may block you due to ad clutter, or you may end up with issues that significantly affect yield, like getting hit with a Google confirmed click violation as a result of your ad units. Ultimately, your ad units and how users interact with them have a huge impact on yield. So, yield ops teams will have a part in determining strategies or changes. Now, let's discuss ad quality and blocking. Another item in the fuzzy ownership column is ad quality. Like ad unit placements, ad quality as a category typically falls under the more general ownership of ad operations. However, the reason yield teams are often involved in the process of setting category and URL blocks to manage ad quality is because the settings for each are managed at the individual SSP or programmatic demand partner level. Because yield is responsible for maintaining those integrations, settings, and relationships, they usually end up owning the settings for category and URL blacklists as well. Additionally, over and under blocking both have implications for ad revenue, making them especially important to yield teams. Up next in the list of yield operations duties is supply path optimization. Beyond just managing the direct header bidding integrations, sophisticated yield teams may also have responsibilities to manage optimizations across the entire ad supply chain. Yield teams that manage relationships or settings all the way back to the demand-side platform or DSP level are usually found only at very large publishers, header bidding wrapper providers, or ad management providers. In order to have the relationships with SSPs that allow visibility further up the ad supply chain, you must have the size and scale that standalone publishers rarely have. The types of activities that fall into this bucket might include reviewing reports from SSPs to understand which advertisers or DSPs are bidding on inventory to look for potential optimizations all the way back at the SSP level to optimize your ultimate revenue. In addition to optimization, the yield team will also determine which buyers get access to inventory at a given price point and buying channel. The goal is to sell as much inventory as possible at the highest price, and your yield team should be looking for the ideal way to ensure that happens. The ad tech ecosystem is incredibly complex. There are so many different players in the stack and so many different ways for a single advertiser to buy from a single publisher. Thus, as part of supply path optimization, Yield should be reviewing the different pathways available for purchasing inventory and looking to funnel requests through the most lucrative pathways. Even between the DSP and SSP steps in the ad supply chain, there are countless paths an ad can take to traverse from one side to the other. Just take a look at this graphic from Clean.io, which shows the sheer number of different connections there are between DSPs and SSPs. Let's walk through an example of what a yield team might be looking at when optimizing a supply path. If DSP A can buy inventory through open bidding, TAM, and your header bidding stack, Yield will find the pathway that DSP A should take to earn the most revenue. Across the incredibly complex landscape of DSPs, SSPs, ad networks, and other ad tech tools, optimizing as many supply paths as possible is no small undertaking.
Learn more at www.playwire.com. Or if you're watching on YouTube, click the link below in the description of this video.